What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how wide receivers can run a perfect dig route. So this first example we're looking at here is from Drake London, and he uses this kind of hesitation slide release into a dig. This is a red zone dig. Now, why is this unique, and why do I want to go over this? Because he is a later read on the play. Oftentimes, wide receivers, they see all the different releases that wide receivers do. They see that guys will do the slide release, they'll hit him with a crossover, they'll see wide receivers do a hesitation hop, skip release, do a move, and then go run a route. But you got to understand plays, releases, running routes, it's all about timing. It is about timing with your QB and being able to be on the same page as him. So you see when Drake London catches this route, the quarterback is obviously not looking to him first. He is looking left. I'm not sure if this is a sprint out concept, play action concept, but he is looking at a concept to the left. He's got receivers here, and London is coming into the play backside. That means that he is probably the third or the fourth read on this. So he did not need to get out of his route quickly. That's one of the things that I need to get across to you guys. On routes like digs, routes like drags, check downs, slants, sometimes you might be a backside or a late read and you could take your time. But if you're a first read, if you're the first guy that the quarterback is looking to, we cannot do a release like what Drake London just did right here. Because again, you see how he comes off the ball. Imagine if the quarterback was looking to him first. Let's say it was maybe like a dig concept, then we had somebody to the flat. And he was trying to look at this dig right away. I couldn't take my time and slide, give a move, because it just takes too long. Quarterback is not ready for that. But because the play takes a while to develop and he hits him late, that's when that type of play is okay. Okay, so now, second clip we're going to be talking about here is how you would run a dig route versus this outside shade off man coverage. And one of the biggest mistakes that wide receivers will make against this, okay? But now, before I get into this, fellas, we are going to be traveling out to 15 different states this offseason for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys are local to the San Francisco area, that camp is actually sold out. But we're also coming out to Orlando, New Orleans, Charlotte, Dallas, DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles, California. 2-day-long training camps, 8 hours of training total. For wide receivers, we'll have DBs out there for every single camp to work on one-on-ones, half-line concepts, the works. A ton of reps and a small group atmosphere, fellas. It's not going to be one of those big, scam camps with a million kids out there. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested and you would like to get some work in with us this offseason. Let's get back to this video. So now, this clip here, this is an example from Mark Andrews. We got outside shade off man. He's running a dig. So one of the biggest mistakes that wide receivers will make is that they will just take off and go run the route. So they got outside shade, they'll just take off and go run. Now the problem with that is exactly what a DB wants you to do when he is in outside leverage coverage. So let's play this full speed. So Andrews does a great job of attacking the DB's leverage, using a move like a rocker step, threatening his blind spot to create a bigger throwing window for that quarterback. Because you see, anytime that a DB is lined up in outside shade, he's outside shade because he has help to the inside. There is his help. So imagine if Andrews were to come off here, and a lot of people think this, outside shade, I got to dig. I could just take off and go run. But that is exactly what he wants you to do. Like I said, he's going to get hands into you. He is going to force your stem inside so you break that thing off shorter and you're running right into that free safety. That is a tiny window for Lamar Jackson to get us the ball. So we have to angle my stem. I have to threaten his leverage. The reason why you want to do this is because the DB's sole responsibility when he's outside shade is to protect his leverage. So you see how Andrews attacks him with his stem. What does the DB do? He starts to weave. He starts to keep his leverage. He is taught to be outside shade, do not give up the outside. If you give up the outside, that's like death. That's awful for a DB. You're not going to do that when you're outside leverage. That is your sole purpose. So as a wide receiver, I need to understand that. I got an inside breaking route. I need to try to threaten him there. Because if I can get him to widen off of that platform, and then maybe I get him to hesitate with my move, I just created an extra 2 to 3 yards of space for my quarterback. And that's running a quarterback-friendly route, especially when I'm running a dig route and I'm coming over the middle. You do not want to run over the middle in a ton of traffic, as that QB either won't throw it or you're probably going to be taking a shot or a DB's got to play on the ball. So Andrews does a great job of attacking him, threatens the leverage. Then at the break point, he starts to give him this rocker step, right? He gives him this crossover. He threatens something called a blind spot. Because when you can threaten that blind spot, he's got no help over here. And when you threaten his blind spot, what's he going to do? He's going to widen. And again, that creates a bigger window. Do not just take off and run the route, fellas. We talk a lot about taking what the DB gives you, but when it's off man, when it's zone, different story. Same thing, like let's think about it like this. Let's say it was press coverage and he was right up up in his face, but he was outside shade. I wouldn't want Andrews to just take off and run to the inside because DB, same thing. Just because it's press doesn't mean it's any different from off man. He's pressed up. He's just going to get hands and squeeze you all the way to that sideline, force you right into that safety. So you would give him a move. You would threaten him to the outside in press coverage to try to get him to widen so you could get skinny and run your route with space. So fellas, understand, you got an inside route against outside shade, especially a dig. We have to threaten that leverage. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Andrews, understanding that pre-snap, angling his stem correctly, and running a quarterback-friendly route. Okay, so now we have inside shade coverage here. You can kind of see this DB's foot right here, but that's where he's lined up. He's lined up about 2 yards off of us, and he is inside shade, and we have to run a dig. So this is a tough look for a lot of guys because they don't understand that your separation comes at the top of the break. So we just talked about it. You know, you got outside shade press, and you have an inside breaking route. What did you have to do off the line? You had to attack his outside leverage, take the inside release, get skinny, run a quarterback-friendly route. So same thing with the dig versus inside shade. I have to run a quarterback-friendly route. And quarterback-friendly routes mean that you have to keep spacing on the play. So let's watch what this wide receiver does. He attacks this DB's leverage, takes an outside release, restacks, and uses a crossover move. That is pretty much how you would want to play this thing. He's inside shade for a reason. Just like the DB who was outside shade. He was outside shade for a reason. He's inside shade to protect the inside. So a lot of wide receivers, because they have a dig route and it's an inside breaking route, they force it. They'll come off the ball. They'll try to give a move outside and take the inside release. This DB is just going to stay patient, as we saw in the last example when you threaten their leverage, and he's going to force you to the inside and you're going to break, but you're going to be 5 yards across the field where you don't need to be. So what you would want to do is you want to threaten his leverage. That's what this wide receiver does. He does a little hesitation move. He gives a crossover inside, take the outside release. When the play is drawn up, like let's say the play concept is deep post from the outside, dig from the slot, and then backside over here is running like a drag. The play is drawn up like this for a reason, to keep spacing on the play. But like, let's say, for example, instead of going straight up on the dig, he takes an inside release and runs the dig because he gets rerouted. You're running right into the drag. You're going to let one defender cover two separate routes. We have to maintain my spacing. So I have to get comfortable taking an outside release on an inside breaking route. And that's what this wide receiver does. Comes off the ball, gives him a move inside, takes the outside release, and he stacks him. So when you stack him, that's when I can win. I get over the top, I got him trailing my hip, I give him a move outside, and then I can win. So your goal should be, if you got inside shade press, inside shade catch technique like this where he's about 2 yards off, let's attack his leverage, take the outside release, and have a plan at the top. Now, some of you might be asking me, well, what if I don't restack him? It's going to be real awkward if this DB is right at my hip. In the next clip, I'm going to show you guys an example of what you should do in that specific case. So let's play this full speed. Great job understanding how to manipulate a DB's leverage. Take what he gives you to maintain spacing and timing with our QB. So now, if I take the outside release on a dig and I don't restack this DB, because you got to have a plan, right? Like I said in the last example, your separation on routes does not come from what you do off the line. You keep spacing and you keep timing off the line. Your separation comes at the top of the break, but you need to have a plan. So I got a dig route versus inside shade press. My plan, number one, is probably to restack him. I want to stack him. I want to get him on my back hip. But if I can't, I want to work something called a throw by or a slip under. So let's watch what this wide receiver does. He pushes vertical, snaps down, slips underneath him, and is able to win on this dig. So again, DB's in a good spot. He's right on my hip. I can't restack him. A lot of wide receivers are so uncomfortable with this situation, they'll just try to round it and go around him. And then that DB forces you off the route because you went too deep. You have to break at the break point. We have a landmark of 10 yards, 12 yards, 15. I got to break at 15. So when I get to 15, I need to drop my hips. I need to sit down into the chair. I need to bring my chin to my knee. I need to drop violently. Because when I drop violently like this, I can put the brakes on and decelerate on a dime. And I can slip under the DB. I can't give the route away, obviously. I can't run up into this thing and slow down. I can't chop my steps. I can't raise my pad level up because those are indicators that will make the DB also sit down right on a dime. If we can self-fade, fellas, and we can drop on a dime like this, I can take an outside release on a dig because I am comfortable doing that throw by or that slip under move because I have great hips at the top of the break. Fellas, you need to have a plan. To run a perfect dig route, you need to keep spacing, you need to keep timing, and you need to make sure that your plan at the top of the route is what gets us open. Keep spacing and timing off the line and make sure we get open at the top of the break. So this is a great job here, having a plan, being able to snap down and not giving the route away with any indicators. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comments section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like to come out and train with us in one of their 15 off-season QB and wide receiver training camps, our San Francisco camp is completely sold out, but we are coming out to 14 other locations this year. So if you're local to one of those cities or would like to travel out, we always have guys travel out every single camp. Check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.